Welcome to Straight Talk and Retirement. Your no-hype source for financial advice in making informed choices about your retirement planning. Get on the phone to talk today at 314-931-5877 or text your question to 84126.
The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial advisor or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and JBL Financial Services, Inc. are separate entities from LPL Financial.
Now, here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Hello, St. Louis, and welcome to Straight Talk on Retirement. You're live and local, St. Louis's favorite financial call-in show. I'm Jeff Lapidus, president of JBL Financial Services. Our offices are located in beautiful, quickly warming, downtown Olivet, Missouri. I'm a 40-plus year veteran of the financial services area, a fee-based financial planner and wealth manager. And I'm joined this week by my family, my crew, my oldest prodigal daughter, Aaron Lapidus, who also is a fee-based financial planner and wealth manager, and my newly minted son-in-law, Robert Markham, who also is a financial advisor, as well as being our life insurance and fixed annuity sales specialist. Good morning, kiddies.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Can I call you the kids?
I will allow it.
He speaks for us now, so I guess.
Okay.
That's right. We help our clients make smart choices about their money. The way we do that is by designing a game plan, a written step-by-step strategy, a real game plan with several goals in mind.
First is to preserve, protect, and prudently grow the assets our clients have taken their entire lifetimes to accumulate. Second is to deliver a reliable stream of income, one they can count on, so they can do all the things they'd like to do during retirement.
And third is cost-effectively addressing their health care needs, like helping individuals enroll in Medicare and choosing the right plan to couple with their Medicare coverage.
And then when they're done enjoying their assets during their lifetime, we show them how to pass them on to the people they love, whether it's their spouses or children, grandchildren, churches, or charities, whoever it might be, with Uncle Sam or the tax courts taking a big bite out of their money. And as their wealth advisors, Aaron and I watch their money every single day to make sure they're staying on track. And that's why they call us the retirement coaches. Again, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And before we get into today's programming, it's funny. I'm looking at the clock today, and it's there's just like no time on the clock.
Well, it seems as though there were some power surges or something. We lost power at the office yesterday morning, and then we lost power at the house yesterday night. So maybe there's a little flicker.
There you go, which is great. And just a reminder, all of our clients are folks like you. They're our listeners. They're 55 and older. They would like to retire, or they're already retired. And as I mentioned, we create a game plan for them that have the goals of creating a fun, financially successful, and hopefully worry-free retirement. That's what it's all about. And there are lots of ways that you can keep in touch with us.
That's
during the
right.
week.
Just log on to our website, jblfinancial.com. In the upper right-hand corner, you can click on the Contact Us section. Send us an email with a request for a coaching session, financial, Medicare, or both. Or if you have a question that you'd like us to discuss on the show, you can send that in as well. And we'll try to get to it during the broadcast. You can also click on the lower left-hand side of the screen in the pop-up box that appears that says sign up for our monthly newsletter. We call that the Coach's Corner, and I think today is December 2nd.
It is, and you know what that means, folks.
Brand new newsletter.
That's right. It's rapidly approaching the end of the year, and this is our December 2023 newsletter. Has some great articles you're certainly going to want to check out. The first one being how much income does Social Security actually replace? Great article. We're going to dive a little bit deeper into that in a few, but it's a good highlighter on what you can expect depending on how much income you're bringing in, what you can expect Social Security to replace. And our next article, will you work beyond traditional retirement age? Is a great article highlighting some of the advantages of working beyond a traditional retirement age, whether it's staying active and involved, you still enjoy working, you like the extras that the money and the salary provide. It's a great article. I mean, I don't know what I would do if I was retired with all those extra hours to have to fill.
I feel like I could fill them.
I don't at all. Like 16 hours, like you sleep 8 hours a day, and then there's 16 hours that you have to, without.
I don't know. Every single day I get to chat with clients, and every single day they're doing something cool, going somewhere fun.
No, they certainly have more active imaginations than I do at this point, because I don't know what I would do if I had to fill 16 hours a day every day from now until forever.
You just haven't worked long enough yet.
Apparently not. But the next article is reviewing your estate plan. It's the end of the year, and now is a great time to take stock of where you are in your finances and your estate. Was there a change in your family situation? Did you get married? Was there a death? Did you receive an inheritance? Now is definitely the time where you want to take stock of these life-changing events and see where they fit into your estate plan. And if you don't have an estate plan, maybe now is the time to construct one. And our last article, get ready to visit the metaverse. Augmented reality, virtual reality are fast becoming I would say, a significant staple of online interactive entertainment now. And this article highlights some of the things that we're going to get ready to see in the next couple of years vis-a-vis augmented reality, virtual reality, artificial intelligence, and the way we interact with it. Very, very interesting article.
I hope they improve those AI customer service things where you speak words into it and it's supposed to direct you to the right place.
I had an interaction with something similar to that the other day, and they're not as bad as they once were. I'm not going to say they're perfect or they've perfected it, but they're certainly moving in that direction. It's noticeably
You can just
improved.
hear my voice through the office screaming words at the phone, and there's no human that ever answers that,
Well, I think it'll get to.
I don't like augmented reality.
I think it'll get to a point where
regular reality.
The AI customer service will be better than, say, a call center in a foreign country where you can barely understand the person speaking to you.
Let's hope you're right.
I think I will be. I hope I am.
Well, this is the technology revolution. That's where we're at right now. So things are moving quickly, and we do appreciate that. Just a reminder, our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you, 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the usually hot. And we know it'll be heating up very soon. KTRS text line, again, 84126. Lots of things to talk about. As we always like to say, we have a lot of things on our mind. What's more important is what's on yours. So please give us a call. We'd love to interact with you today. One of the first articles that in our newsletter for December is Social Security. And I think an important part of that article was a comparison, and I guess Aaron likes to call them infographics, comparing your people at different income stages and what Social Security would replace as a part of current income. And that's kind of important. And as we know that unfortunately, Social Security benefits don't increase with your income per se. I mean, there are limits, obviously, not only what you contribute, but what they will also provide you. And so as you get into higher income limits, the replacement percentage is smaller and smaller. But we want to take that a different way, don't we, Rob?
Absolutely. And it's a great article because it dovetails with a great coaching session that Aaron and I had with Harry and Sally. And Harry and Sally have both reached full retirement age, and we were able to figure out how much money Social Security will replace in retirement. But we first wanted to take a look at their most recent tax return. And married filing jointly, Harry and Sally made $150,000. Their combined income put them in the 24% tax bracket. Between their taxes, their retirement account contributions, and their health care premiums, their net income after those deductions was about $96,000.
So with $96,000, we know that is most likely what Harry and Sally were living off of. We could do a deeper dive and determine if they were saving any of that, but really to illustrate the Social Security replacement, we'll just use $96,000 as what their annual income need truly is. That's about $8,000 a month. In retirement, we know that the majority of your income is going to taxable. So we want to gross that up for taxes, as opposed to using your gross income number while you were working with all of the deductions that Rob mentioned. You were never actually living off of that number because all that money was gone before it was, before your paycheck was deposited into your account. So if we use the working capital number of about $8,000 a month, we gross that up for taxes, so we make sure that in retirement, as you are sending money to the federal and state government, depending upon what kind of income you are taking, you'll still be able to live off that net $8,000 a month.
Yeah, and their combined Social Security is $5,500 a month, which would make up almost 60% of their net income need, because they only need $9,600 a month, and $5,500 is roughly about 58% of that. So
that's actually their gross income need, right? Because gross is with net plus taxes. So $9,600 less the $5,500 means they're only got a $4,100 deficit. That includes their taxes, their need for taxes over the course of the year.
Right. So we didn't have to fund to the $12,500 that they're bringing home gross, because they're not actually bringing that home. They're not actually getting to spend that.
Right. So, just to be clear, we said $8,000 of income need, grossed up for taxes, is $9,600 a month. Their combined Social Security is $5,500 a month, leaving them only a $4,100 a month deficit. Versus if we had just said, okay, Harry and Sally, we see that your gross income from your working years was $150,000. That's $12,500 a month, less only the $5,500. That means they would have had a $7,000 a month deficit.
Right. No,
no.
the gross income story doesn't tell the complete story of how much Social Security is going to be replacing, because again, you're not funding your life to the gross amount. You're funding it to the net amount. And like you said, if we did a deeper dive, we could figure out are they actually spending the $8,000 a month? Are they creating savings for themselves within that? But not to get too complicated, not to go too far into the weeds. We just work off nice base assumptions.
Absolutely.
Well, I'd also want to point out at this moment is that if we look at what their Social Security benefit is, which is approximately $5,500 of $12,500, you were looking at something that is somewhere in the area of about 35%.
Mm-hmm.
But we know that when we're working off of their net number, which is actually the net amount, the amount that they're actually taking home and physically spending, that, again, that then grows to 58%.
So it's more than a 20% difference, which actually really reflects a drop in their tax bracket, too, because we know that, while you're working, those are your highest taxable years, because you have to pay taxes on the gross, but you live off of the net. You also have to incorporate FICA, Social Security taxes,
retirement account contributions, health care premiums. There's a lot of people with their hands in the pocket.
Exactly. And then in retirement, there's
all that goes away.
There's still some hands in your pocket,
well.
but not as many. So we wanted to highlight this because I think that our philosophy is always, what is the most direct path to get you to where you want to go? And also, not only that, but there's a lot of fear and anxiety around retirement because you're stepping into the unknown. You spent your entire life living off of a paycheck, working, saving. Now we're going to flip that and say, as opposed to earning money in order to maintain your lifestyle, we're just not going to spend more than you actually need.
Yeah, and also the other thing is that through the literature, i.e. what you read on the internet or other places.
What they would call common knowledge.
Yes, common knowledge. The calculators, if you're using them on websites, they're always asking you about gross income. What is your current gross income? And we're looking at a gross income percentage replacement, and that's not what retirement's about. Retirement is really about net income spending replacement. And our philosophy is, and as you know, listening to the show for years, we're going to fund to 100% of our clients' current spending because that's their life. They want the same life after they retire as the one they had before. They may be substituting activities, maybe going places, visiting with other people versus going to work. But they have built this lifestyle based on a flow of net income. And so replacing that and being, in my mind, being realistic about how you get there should take some of the fear out. Because, again, as you know,
absolutely.
I know that when you were visiting with this client, one thing that you probably said to them is they said, hey, let's take a look at really how much your paychecks represent as a current of your gross income. When most people, you bring home about 60%. we don't have to fund for that 60%. We don't have to worry about that 40%, which is going to 401k and healthcare contributions and FICA withholdings when you're retired.
No, a lot of the literature, when you read about the funding to gross income, it can I think it can add anxiety because, the person might come in and say, well, Social Security is only going to make up a third of it. Oh, my God, where am I getting the other two-thirds? And it's a little bit of a misleading number because, as you said, you don't live to your gross capacity. You live to what you're actually seeing.
That's a great point.
Yeah, it's a cash flow thing. And that kind of leads us into what I like to really call as the truth about retirement plan.
The truth.
The truth. The truth is life is an algebra problem. Pretty simple. That being the case, you didn't have to get an AA algebra to figure this out. With algebra, you usually have two known quantities and you have a variable. We know that you want to maintain the lifestyle that you have in retirement. That's a constant. We have other constants that we add into the formula, which is your income flows. Either maybe it's work and how long you're working, whether it's Social Security and when you're electing it, if you have a pension that's available, if you have real estate rental income, etc., other sources. Once we subtract these numbers, we know that number that's left, that's the milk money. That's the cash flow that we need to replace at the time that you retire. So it's pretty simple. I mean, the math really is pretty simple. And again, our algebra problem, the way we like to work it is, we say once we've determined what that net amount that's needed from investments, we'll call it investment income, and usually that's IRAs or Roth and or trust
After tax, yeah.
We divide that number by 4%, and that capital number, we call that the milk money. That's the capital we need to maintain over a long period of time to maintain your flows. And, this falls really into everything, sort of like long-term care planning. When we're worried, as our second game plan, which we're always doing as a part of our client's retirement game plan, we're going, what if you get sick? What if somebody needs to either have care at home or care at an institution? Well, the cash flows you're getting now, they aren't going to stop if you get sick. Your Social Security is going to continue. Your pension is going to continue. The amount of money we're sending you is going to continue. Right? So it's really, again, everything can be broken down just to in my mind, a very simple algebra problem.
I think the long-term care is another excellent point because that's a pain point for a lot of people in retirement, because if you've heard or you have a family member, especially with our clients that are retiring now, they have parents or aunts and uncles that are getting to the age where long-term care or the need for long-term care is becoming more prevalent. So it's part of your life now. You're seeing it with friends and family. Having to fund to $10,000 a month of needed care sounds almost insurmountable. Just like if we looked at Harry and Sally needing to fund to $150,000 of gross income, that seems much more significant than when we can knock it down to the $96,000 a year. Just like with long-term care, if we know that you need upwards of $10,000 a month. Well, if Social Security and investments and distributions from your retirement plans or your after-tax accounts aren't going to stop, that continues to knock that number down for you. And then we're going to look at what's remaining and how do we fund that missing piece versus looking at everything in a vacuum and saying, well, if you need $10,000 a month, let's buy an insurance policy that's going to cover that entire amount for you. Why pay for something you don't need?
And, it's interesting because I would say with most of the folks that visit with us that have tried to do some planning and they own long-term care contracts, what we're typically doing is getting them to reduce the amount.
Sure. Because
the agent that sold this to them isn't looking at their total picture. Instead of trying to fund the whole, like what we would be doing, maybe it's $2,000 or $3,000 a month, they're funding the entire stay.
Instead of funding the whole, why not fund the actual whole?
Right.
Well, that's
the
correct.
The whole amount.
And, look, nobody wants to think about these things, but I was just talking to one of our clients yesterday in a coaching session with the spouse because her husband, unfortunately, recently, she had to put him into memory care.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, tell me about your day. She said, well, I do, I do a few things around the house, see the grandkids, etc. But then from 3 till 7:30, I'm with my husband. I go over to the facility. I'm sitting with him for 3.5, 4, or whatever hours a day. It's just so typical. I mean, she's not going on cruises. She's, if she can find a girlfriend to see an early matinee movie every once in a while, that's kind of cool.
Right.
But what's happening is lifestyle expenses really, they almost disappear. Your life becomes being
going back
connected
and
to
forth from the
exactly.
facility, or if you happen to be, even if your spouse or loved one is in a long-term care facility or a memory care facility, you still are a primary caregiver to that person.
Yep.
So that does change your, like you said, Dad, your lifestyle expenses. Even if you are going to see movies, probably not as many, not going out to dinner as much,
Right.
not going on those trips, and your primary focus is that spouse. So we know that in most cases, everyone's expenses drop.
Right. So the question then is, what's the algebra?
Right.
How much cash flow does that non-institutionalized, non-chronically ill spouse need to maintain their lifestyle?
Once we've added some
Right.
expensive long-term care on top of that.
And I would, certainly we would tell you, and we do tell you, almost every single week, that every conversation with us begins with, how much are you spending? What does it cost to maintain your lifestyle? How much of your current paycheck are you the net paycheck are you consuming? Everything starts with the algebra problem starts with what you're spending.
And that's why it's so great to really have this formula, because if you're more than a couple of years out from retirement, you can actually construct a goal that is entirely tailored to your needs, as opposed to we can go back to the articles that talk about you need X number of dollars in order to retire, you need X amount of fixed income in order to retire, it's only going to last X number of years. Well, that's all overgeneralization, really, because we know that everyone has a different size life. Everyone has a different lifestyle.
Absolutely.
We can call lifestyle spending patterns.
I was just going to say, it's almost like you're working the equation backwards. Like, you need X, you need Y. Well, shouldn't you figure out, again, like what Jeff was saying, what you're spending? Because that's ultimately what you're going to need.
Right, so super simple. Take your net take-home pay. If you're married, add your spouses in unless they don't give it to you. Subtract out what your your projected Social Security benefits will be, and the great thing about Social Security is hopefully that's going to rise for you over time. You'll either get cost of living adjustments, or if your pay increases, your Social Security benefit should incrementally increase. So that's a buffer almost, because you'll most likely be using a lower number than what it'll actually work out to be. Net spending minus fixed income, which for most people is Social Security at this point. Maybe if you have a pension, also subtract that projected number out. Net number is your monthly deficit multiplied by 12, divided by 4%. That's your goal.
That's your capital.
That's your personal capital goal.
Right. And everything else becomes, and then obviously you want to have a little money also set aside for emergencies, and then the best of it basically becomes fun money.
So for some people
Literally.
that could be well over $1 million, and for some people that could be nowhere near.
Right. I mean, everybody's a little different, and that's why this whole, do I have enough? And it's interesting because the person I was talking to yesterday, our client, whose husband is institutionalized, said she read something in ARP that you have to have $6 million.
What? Oh, inflation is really eating into people's lives.
Are you kidding me? We have clients that have, not too many of them, but we have clients that have less than $500,000 that, guess what? They're doing all the things that they want. They have the life they want because they've built the life that they want.
Right.
And we know in retirement what occurs is that your spending changes because you're just not going to work. So your time is being consumed by other things, and not every part of that time means that you're spending money. I mean, what's so curious about inflation, and we talk about this a lot, we've not had a single client in the last 2 years that's called us to say, by the way, I don't have enough money now because of inflation. Because people are making their own internal choices. We're not saying we can't give you more money. They just don't want more.
They haven't asked for it because just like, and you said this at the outset really 2 years ago, Dad, give you the credit, which was that either people adjust or they make choices. If you walk into the grocery store and bacon's $8 a pound, you're like, I'll just not buy that today. You don't just keep doing the same thing regardless of what the escalation in price is. At some point, you feel pain and you're like, this is not what I'm going to be doing.
Well, it's even worse than that. So since I am, I'm a 66. I'm no more retirement age in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks. Oh,
which is kind of cool. We're going to have that debate, which is, Dad, should you take Social Security or not? I go into the grocery store, and I do. I use both of the family-owned businesses here in town. I'm not going to give them any credit this week,
unless they'd like to sponsor the show.
Exactly, and we'd be very happy to if the Deer Burger Schnuck families wanted to do that. We know them, and they're nice people, but if they're not sponsoring us, so that doesn't mean they're as smart as they could be. But I go
what
down.
Were you gonna say?
I go down one of my favorite aisles, and I'm looking
Is this
for
the potato chip aisle?
No,
I think it's the cookie aisle.
Soda.
No, I think it's the
Soda.
soda aisle.
no.
Which aisle could it be?
Soda is
It's basically
it's
liquid
insane.
gold.
It's
Liquid
insane
gold.
for them. It's insane for $8 for a 12-buck. It's crazy. I'm looking for Chef Boyardee ravioli.
There
Oh
you
my
go.
God!
Now this dates you, Aaron, because you just refused to eat it.
Date me
But this was like a staple for me.
as well.
And
Cold out of the can, everyone.
Oh, absolutely. You don't have to eat it. It's that good. But bottom line is, I'm looking at it and it's like $1.49. I'm like, are you kidding me? I used to buy like five at a buck P. Or I remember when it was, and we're not even talking that long ago, not even a year ago. The prices have gone up almost 30-40%.
But what about La Choya?
I did buy some.
So disgusting.
Well, your mom, I know your mom wasn't gonna cook anymore, so I always have to have a spare. But that was the stuff that I was brought up on. But it's just some of these prices are just crazy. I'm looking at going, what? I'm not buying it. I mean, it goes on sale at $1.25 a can. I'm still thinking this is 25% more than I'm used to paying. Am I really wanting to do this now? Is it a money issue? No, it isn't. It isn't.
Could
Am I
spare the
choosing
25 cents?
Right? Am I choosing my medications versus versus Chef Boyardee? The answer is no. But there's some times where you just say, you know what, enough is enough. I can't tell you how many clients agree with me, where it's like, I'm not paying $3 for soda anymore. I'm just not doing it. I can't sit there all day and drink $3 worth of fountain soda. It just doesn't make sense. So hopefully the manufacturers will eventually figure this out. We know that our clients are.
Right.
We're not giving them lists or encouraging them, but we see people make these changes, and a lot of those are those that are done consciously, and then some are done unconsciously, but they're doing their own math. Everybody has their own personal math, personal algebra problem. And the fun for us is, you know what it is?
What's that?
Getting in tune with them.
Well, and I would just like to say, and I had this conversation with a client yesterday, which is that, I've been with you for almost 11 years now, and before the last 2, we didn't really have the opportunity to truly test our philosophy against an inflationary period.
High inflation.
A high inflationary period, thank you. And over the last 2 years, the model has really been put to the test. And like you said, Dad, we are not we're seeing people that want extra money because they want to go do things. They're going on trips again. They are seeing their grandkids more frequently. They're buying their grandkids more things. But it's not because of daily living expenses that they are coming back to us in need of capital. And I think that not only is it a psychological thing, people have made choices, but I also think it's because we've built in a few buffers into our philosophy on cash flow game planning, which is, we're going to slightly overestimate taxes to create a buffer for you. We're going to slightly overestimate your income because for most people that come in and see us, they leave off the good stuff, the fun, the activities, the memberships. And by doing that, not astronomically, not in double-digit percentages, but by putting a few buffers in for you, we found that those really do cover over inflation and in a higher inflationary period. So it's nice for us to be able to test our models in different environments and find that they're still effective for most of our clients.
Yeah, I know that we need to go our first break, but I would like to close this particular segment just with this thought process for folks. There are a lot of people out there that are providing financial advice. And it's just like anything else. If you get it free, it's usually not worth something. But
if you pay peanuts, you get monkeys.
Right. I would just suggest to you that people that don't actually actively manage other people's money for a living, like we do, and we're not talking about what you buy the investments on, because we never talk about that.
No, it's the sitting across the table from you. How is the money that we have been game planned to send you doing?
At the end of the day, retirement planning is not about avoiding mistakes, which are virtually every article we hear about. Oh, the things you can do. If you're working with a capable and a competent advisor, I'm including us in this. Okay, we know where the pitfalls are.
Sure.
We know we're going to urge you, and we're going to insist that you follow the rules. You follow the rule book, which is the Internal Revenue Code. So you're not going to make any mistakes like that. Everyone, in terms of your spending and how you spend money, the one thing that I've said to every single person that I've ever met, and I just feel like this, and my dad said this to, I heard my dad say this once when I was very young, in my 20s, we were visiting a client. If you don't like how you're spending money, then you'll change it. But the truth is that if you don't, you are who you are. And that's why, when we're sitting with folks and we're talking about how much you're spending, It usually, it doesn't.
It's not a trip to the dentist,
right? Whenever the conversation comes down to, oh, I can save this, or we can do that, or we won't do this. We love you, but we don't believe you,
and we don't want you to change either, because there's no reason to force change unless you're interested in it.
Well, we're not Susie Orman. We have no. The fact is, we're not value judgment. How your life is your life. Our job is to enable it by meeting that spending limit. And again, think about spending. Stay away from the calculators; they'll drive you crazy. Because if you did, nobody could retire.
No.
You increase your income need by 3% every year by inflation. Are you kidding me? What happens is Buffett couldn't retire. Everyone goes broke.
Right.
The calculators. It was funny because we were out to dinner with some folks the other night, and a gentleman said to me, "Do you use eMoney?" Which happens to be a financial planning program.
Right.
Very popular one, etc. I was like, no. I use my brain.
J Money.
That's right. We understand. We understand how these plans are written. We understand what the limitations are, but the thing is, they're crotch.
Do you think that compliance would approve that, like Team J Money? I don't think so. I don't think so.
No, they
don't have the sense of humor you do.
No,
so few.
They wouldn't. And we can't continue a conversation of what we do works, because we're not supposed to say that what we do actually works for people, right?
But if it didn't work, wouldn't have any people.
All right, guys, this show's not going up for rebroadcasting.
Nope.
Anyway,
we can get in trouble every once in a while, but listen, we're not making any promises for folks.
But Biden's people say inflation has been held in check. Comment from Texter.
Well then.
If you exclude food, fuel, and everything that you need to live, then yes, inflation.
I always listen to the rantings of 81-year-olds.
Hey now, we've got lots of super spry 81-year-old clients.
I don't know if I'd call him super spry, but...
Maybe not. Well, Mr. Biden, we can't probably reveal that. Not a client, obviously.
So do us a favor. We've had a lot of fun talking. We'd love to hear from you this morning. 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the Getting Popular text line. So don't touch that dial. We'll be right back with some more straight talk on retirement after these messages.
We welcome you to our great big small town of Belleville, Illinois. Whether you want to enjoy fabulous food in our restaurants, enjoy shopping at our one-of-a-kind boutiques, or you want to enjoy live music weekly throughout our downtown, Belleville is the perfect place to relax and unwind. For more information about Belleville, Illinois, please visit belleville.net or bellevillemainstreet.net. Brought to you in part by the Illinois Office of Tourism and Discover Downstate, Illinois.
Time to play word association. Are you ready?
Yep.
C.R. Frank popcorn.
Oh, gourmet popcorn, tins made to order, caramel corn made with real butter, hand-packed and guaranteed fresh.
Good. Now try it while eating some C.R. Frank popcorn.
Is this a Chicago style?
Yes, a sweet and salty blend of caramel and cheese.
And their popcorn tins are unique.
Oh, my turn for the popcorn. C.R. Frank popcorn.
Fun Foods popcorn machines for home theaters.
C.R. Frank popcorn.
5757 North Lindbergh and Hazelwood. Go to crfrankpopcorn.com.
The gift of good taste.
It's Dogtown for the holidays. And when you've got family coming in town, feed them the best with Dogtown Pizza. The nights are longer and colder, so gather around the oven with the best frozen pizza in town and their hot new flavor, pepperoni and peppercini. Add that to the regular roster of Dogtown favorites, and you've got a quick and easy meal when you want to give that turkey a rest. The holiday season starts now, so load up on Dogtown Pizzas and feed your family the best. Check them out at dogtownpizza.com.
How's your tile? Do you need some help? Well, the Grout Medic can help. They can restore the tile and the grout to look like new at a fraction of the cost to replace. They'll clean the tile, they'll clean the grout. Heck, they'll even repair the tile and recaulk if they have to. Any type of repair of tile on the floor, the wall, the counter, marble, travertine, traditional or natural stone. 10% off if you mention you heard about it from The McGraw Show. 636-317-8860 or groutmedicstl.com.
Winter is a great time to work on your trees. Hi, I'm Steve with River City Tree Service, your go-to tree service since 2008. Whether you want to trim your trees, need some deadwooding, or you want a tree removed in the stump ground, choose the ISA Certified Arborist at River City Tree Service in Baldwin. Right now, we're offering a winter special that will save you a lot of money. Call 314-270-8071. That's 314-270-8071. River City Tree Service.
That's right, Carol Ann. The KTRS elves are back with the 12 days of KTRS. Each weekday during the event, go to KTRS.com and find the KTRS tab to register for the daily prize, which changes each weekday at midnight. 12 days, 12 prizes. And Heidi Glaus will announce the winner the next day. It's that simple. Be sure to register to win today's prize. 4 tickets to Westport Playhouse to see Christmas with C.S. Lewis and a gift certificate to Westport Social. The 12 Days of Christmas. From Blush Jewelers, Yinzer Family Dental, Annie Guns and the Smokehouse Market, Marcoot Jersey Creamery, C.R. Frank Popcorn, Christmas with C.S. Lewis at Westport Playhouse, a tribute to John Denver at the pageant, and the Big 550.
KTRS. This is Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, that you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email, jeff@jblfinancial.com, to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
Let's talk about smart choices for your money. It's Straight Talk and Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Woohoo, it's 9:46 here on the Big 550 KTRS Talk Radio St. Louis. Our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you, 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line.
You're like 3 minutes into the future.
I'm looking at the clock on. Oh, you're right.
We got to update the shot clock.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, we do. Luckily, we have one over here. So
Texts have been very, very quiet this morning.
You know, it's gloomy. It's the weekend after.
They're
my
waiting for the next
holiday.
hour.
Right.
Medicare.
They're waiting for smart choices about your health care and Medicare. This is the last weekend of open enrollment for the year.
Wow. Awesome.
Headed towards December 7th, which is the last day that you can make a change that's going to be effective for January 1st. But we'll talk about that and many more things at the top of the next hour.
Fabulous. Let's talk about rock stars instead. What do you think?
Awesome. Let's talk a little bit about Tom. And Tom is turning 65 in January. And guess what? He's tired of working. And Julie, his wife, is turning 66 in March, and she's ready to quit as well. They would like to retire right after Julie's birthday in March. Tom has $1.4 million in his 401k.
Woohoo!
Julie has amassed just over $600,000 in her 401k.
Junior woohoo.
Junior.
60,000 of that, 600,000 is in a Roth. They also have 60,000 in savings. Love to see it, and $80,000 in mutual fund investments.
And you know what's really cool is when Tom and Julie retire in March, looks like Tom has a pension income in addition to Social Security. So they're going to have $900 a month of pension income, and their combined Social Security benefits are going to be about $3,700 a month.
So between the pension and their Social Securities combined, that's $4,600 a month.
Right, yeah.
Not a bad deal. They need, they said that they want $6,000, which is what their current spending is. So we know we have to increase that by 20%, make it pre-tax. $7,200 a month is what they needed. So they're short.
They're short about $2,600 a month, or $31,200 for the year.
Which isn't unusual for folks to be short, just the way it works. So we know that when we figure out what is the milk money, right? How much capital do we need to retain over a long period of time? Throwing off 4% prudent rate of withdrawal to get that $32,000 a year. Well, math's pretty easy, right?
It's $800,000.
$800,000.
But wait a minute.
There's always a but wait a minute.
It ain't over.
Right. So Tom and Julie have decided that they were going to put off some things were being put off, and other things, it's based on timing. Quite a few relatively large expenses in retirement that are not incorporated into that ongoing monthly income need. And this is not at all uncommon. In fact, when I did a coaching session very similar to this, but in the reverse, which was right before retirement. Over the last year, clients had been doing a lot of things. They had surgeries, they had home remodeling, they wanted to pay for it out of cash flow. So when we were trying to calculate what's your monthly income need, it looked astronomical. So we had to back out all of those numbers. In this particular case, we have to back in those numbers for at least their first year or two of retirement to plan for some above and beyond cash flow needs.
Well, let's talk about some of those things. The first one is they want to do a home remodel, kitchen, den, etc. That's going to be $60,000.
Probably need to buffer that down the road.
Yeah, I'm thinking that number is going to have to be massaged, but we'll work with $60,000.
If you need $6 million in retirement from inflation, I think that kitchen might be a few dollars more, too.
And the following, not next year, but in 2025, looks as though they have a wedding plan. So that's going to be another $25,000. Yeah, that's what I said.
What? It's worth every penny.
You guys definitely were, no question about it. And they're also going to assist in their grandchild's primary education to the tune of about $15,000 a year. So over 4 years, that's $60,000. And obviously, they also want to replace their last car.
I like how you've put LOL after that. That's very nice.
Even if Tom and Julie, it's Tom and Julie, right? Tom and Julie,
yes,
run their cars into the ground. They're only in their mid-60s. It's very possible that, even if you're somebody that keeps the car is not your toy, it's your mode of transportation,
yes,
you're going to need another car in retirement eventually.
Yes.
Or we're going to need to plan for repairs and things like that.
Yes, no question about that. And so the other good part was they were actually able to identify these and put some price tags on them and put some dates.
Sure.
So that, some of this is immediate. But we know that when we add all this stuff up together, they need about $1.1 million.
Okay.
And we also know that they have a whole lot more than $1.1 million. So
Right, and the other thing is that, the $800,000, we incorporated taxes into that. The additional numbers, we really haven't incorporated taxes into that, and I think it's because we have the opportunity to really customize their income and their tax bracket over the next several years, because Julie has, about $60,000 in a Roth account. That's going to be non-taxable to them. They also have $60,000 in savings and $80,000 in mutual funds that are not inside of IRAs. So we have a few different options in terms of how we distribute funds to them, for what purposes, and over what period of time, which can help regulate their tax bracket.
And, they really are rock stars, because once we get by all the one-time events, with the exception, of course, of the last car, their capital needs are only $800,000, and they have over $2 million. So, I mean, it's really, really, really nice.
Well, what's also nice is we do require they send us pictures
of the kitchen, of the wedding, of everything fun we want to see.
We want to see. They're sending us a picture of the kitchen is easier than making us dinner. So it's kind of fun to be able to see and live through these. And we love when folks send us pictures of the stuff that they're doing.
Absolutely,
because we're proud of it. They're doing it, and they're proud that they're doing it.
I think we should take our last break of this hour quickly. When we get back, we have a text or question or two to get to, so don't touch that dial.
We'll be back with more Straight Talk on retirement after these messages.
I'm Mike Robinson with Robank Properties, and I want your fixer-upper home or condo. It's crazy to spend a ton of money fixing it up when I will pay you top dollar right now. I don't even care what condition it's in. Your trash is my treasure. No inspections, no contingencies, just cold, hard cash. Call me, Mike Robinson, at 314-283-0867. That's Mike Robinson, 314-283-0867, or at ROBANGproperties.com.
How's your deck holding up? Time for a new one? Time to redo the one you're sitting on? It's time to call Outdoor Living. Outdoor Living last summer helped me with my deck, and I cannot tell you how thrilled I am. Outdoor Living Inc. not only showed me all the different options, whether it's PVC, composite, vinyl wrapped, wood, but Outdoor Living has the largest showroom in St. Louis, 2,000 square feet of decking, so I figured out exactly what I wanted from the largest showroom in town. 314-966-DECK or OutdoorLivingInc.com.
The warmth of holiday giving glows brightly every year at Christopher's Gifts in Kirkwood. Effortless entertaining or thoughtful gifts. And now it's twice as bright with the addition of a brother location. Mark Anthony's, just one block away. Shop local, shop both stores. Christopher's and Mark Anthony's, known for St. Louis essential gift giving. For the home, for the body, for the memories. Christopher's and Mark Anthony's in Kirkwood. Christopher'sGifts.com and ma-gifts.com. Let the giving begin.
Boy, the heat and the humidity of the summer is gone. We can open up the windows and enjoy some of that fresh air. Oh, wait a minute. You can't open up your window? It hasn't been opened up since the Reagan administration? Time for you to get new windows and maybe some new doors. Where do you get windows and doors? Well, you go to the store to get them, the window store. That's right, the window store, WS Window and Door. They've been around a long time. Larry Thornton, the owner, he's trying to retire, but he keeps selling windows. Now, they don't really sell windows. All they do at the window store is they give you a bid. That's it. That's all they do. And then they'll let their bid do their talking. Every window and door is energy efficient. There is no upselling. There is no marketing, buy one, get 70 free, or take 900% off. No. The window store is a great St. Louis company with great St. Louis people, and all they want to do is give you a bid, and they'll let their bid do their talking for you. So open up that door, open up that window. Make the phone call, 314-739-0002 or WSWindow.net.
Christmas morning 2023. Just what I needed. Another spatula.
Give a local gift they'll really want to open.
Oh, cool. Holiday gift box from Marcoot Jersey Creamery.
Marcoot Jersey Creamery has 7 different gift boxes for mom, dad, sister, employees, clients, even Doggo's Treats gift sets for your furry friend. Order online at MarcootJerseyCreamery.com and have it shipped anywhere in the U.S. From the 7-generation dairy farm in Greenville, Illinois, MarcootJerseyCreamery.com.
Thomas to Kyrou. Score!
The best holiday lights are goal lights. So give the perfect gift with St. Louis Blues 5-game and 3-game holiday packs starting at just $90. You pick the games, including prime matchups and giveaway nights. Plus, get an exclusive St. Louis Blues goal light ornament with select purchases. Buy now at stlouisblues.com/holiday.
The opinions you hear on KTRS are those of the host, callers, and guests, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or owners. If you have comments or suggestions, contact us at KTRS.com. Thanks for listening. Let's talk about smart choices for your money. It's Straight Talk and Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Well, welcome back to Straight Talk on Retirement. We've got a few minutes left in the first hour of the show, and when we come back,
then we have your favorite hour.
The Well, I don't know if we'll take the full hour for Medicare tomorrow. People are probably pretty tired. We're running up at the end of open enrollment, but we will answer every question that you have that arises. So if you have Medicare question, let's get them queued up so we can get to them next hour. We already have our first text question on deck.
And our texter writes, my wife went on the website yesterday and signed up for an Advantage Gold program and received confirmation that her application was reviewed and was received and being reviewed. Does she need to do anything else?
No, she does not. And by received and reviewed, being reviewed, all Aetna is doing is checking to make sure that your wife's Medicare ID number matches up in the CMS website, which is the Center for Medicare Services website. They're just confirming that she has Medicare Part B and that the number that you provided belongs to her, and you'll receive in the next few days an approval confirmation, and then you'll receive your cards in the mail. They may be slightly delayed only because you're running up at the end of open enrollment, and they'll start mailing those cards out in waves, but you'll receive them shortly, and you have a confirmation number, I believe, which shows that you attempted to sign up before the final day. So if any snafus come up, you'll have that as a record, and they will correct that for you.
Awesome. And our next texter writes, there was a recent death in my family, and I am set to receive an IRA. I was told I need to set up a beneficiary IRA. What is that, and how do they work?
Well, a beneficiary IRA is simply an IRA account. It's going to be pre-tax in this particular case because the IRA, the traditional IRA, is a pre-tax account. It's going to have your name on it, but it's also going to have the name of the individual that you inherited the money from. Now, the rules have changed with beneficiary IRAs. Any money that you take out of them is taxable. That's never changed because the IRS has deemed beneficiary IRAs as undistributed assets of the person that gave them to you. They're not actually your retirement plan assets, so they can follow different rules. The new rules say that you're going to have to liquidate this account within 10 years of the date of the death of the individual that you inherited the money from. Now, if that individual was receiving required minimum distributions, you're going to have to take at least the required minimum distribution that they were taking over the course of the 10 years. So that's the minimum that you must take in order to meet the IRS requirement. There is no maximum, so you could technically liquidate this all within 1 year. Depending upon the value of the IRA, that might be something that you consider. But the final requirement will be that it's fully liquidated within 10 years.
So the executive takeaways here are that you have 10 years to empty it out, and if your relative was on a pre-existing RMD schedule, in addition to inheriting the IRA, you've also inherited their RMD schedule as the floor. That's the minimum you'll be taking out over the 10 years, with the caveat that at the end of the 10 years, it better be empty.
Yes, that is correct. And the other important thing to note is that when you are inheriting assets that are held at a brokerage firm, inside of an IRA account, even inside of an after-tax account, the firm that is holding those assets is going to set up accounts in your name and in the name of your beneficiary, the person that you receive the money from, depending upon what type of account it is. That's not a ploy to keep the money where it is, but really what they are doing is, one, creating the accounts that are in your name tied to your Social Security number. But secondly, what they're also doing is making it easy for you, if you're working with someone else, to easily transfer those assets, because what they call the registration, which is the titling of the accounts, those things have to match between broker-dealers.
So they're, in essence, doing you a favor, because we hear this all the time, that people...
Why do I have to provide this information?
Right, exactly.
I don't want to. All you have to do is provide the minimum amount of information for that firm to create an account. Some have different levels of requirements because we are, as working in a fiduciary capacity, we are required to what's called know our client. So we need quite a bit of information in order to create those accounts.
And if you're inheriting an IRA from someone who's already on an RMD schedule, it would be beneficial to already have your account set up so you can continue on that schedule, so you don't run afoul of any of the IRS rules. So in essence, they're streamlining the process, if you will, and making it a little bit more convenient for you.
Yes, absolutely. And you know what? We've got another text question, but I'm going to hold that until we come up to our next hour, and we are officially talking about Medicare, because We've only got a few seconds left. So, everyone, if you have a Medicare thought, you want to make a comment, you have a question, text it in to us or give us a call, 314-931-5877, and we'll be here to answer them.
Because you care, we talk Medicare. Write these messages.
Let's talk about smart choices for your money. It's Straight Talk and Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Welcome back to Straight Talk on Retirement. It's the hour that you've all been waiting for. Smart choices about your health care.
We talk Medicare because you care.
It's like your favorite new phrase, man.
Yep, I'll be saying it all the way home. Middle of the night, wake up.
Care about Medicare. Having sweaty dreams about it. All right, anyway, we're going to take our first text of the Medicare hour. Hey, guys, I can't make up my mind. I'll need to call to make an appointment with you guys, but can I apply for more than one Medicare supplement just because I can't decide? Then I can cancel one? Unfortunately, the way during so this depends. Everything depends, right? If you are already on a Medicare and you are looking to switch to a different Medicare Advantage plan, you cannot sign up for more than one Medicare Advantage plan because what happens is Medicare is just going to accept the last application that you applied for before December 7th. So let's say you applied like our last texter for the Aetna Gold Advantage plan, and then you changed your mind and said, no, I'd prefer that United Healthcare HMO point of service plan that's being offered. If the second application is the United Healthcare application, that is the one that they're going to take. In terms of your effective date of January 1st. Now, if you exceed the time, so let's say that we get to December 7th and you haven't made up your mind, unfortunately, you actually have another enrollment period. It begins January 1st and it goes through March 31st. This is actually called the open enrollment period. So right now we're in annual election period, but everybody calls it open enrollment because that's what you're used to at work. When you were at work, it's open enrollment. You get to switch, you get to re-sign up, whatever the case may be. But Medicare has multiple enrollment periods. January through March 31st was an old election period that they discontinued that they have since reinitiated, maybe 3 years ago now. So January 1st to March 31st, if you're on a Medicare Advantage plan only, you can make another switch. It will be effective the first day of the next month. So if you apply January 7th, February 1st will be your effective date for the new policy. The latest effective date you can receive is April 1st during this enrollment period because it ends March 31st. So you do have the opportunity to make another switch if you didn't have time or you couldn't make up your mind during this enrollment period. If you're in what's called your initial election period, which is the 7 months that surround the month that you were born, your first application is what they take, unless you call in and cancel it before it becomes effective and choose something else. So, using another example, let's say that you turn 65 January 1st. You have all the way until December 31st to make a decision as to what type of plan you would like to couple with your Medicare coverage. If you choose a Medicare Advantage plan on December 28th, and it goes into effect January 1st, you cannot make a change to your Medicare Advantage plan. So you can't choose another Medicare Advantage plan. You could go to a supplement. You could drop Medicare Advantage and go to traditional Medicare. That would be your only recourse. If you make a decision on December 25th and then change your mind, you call and cancel it, and then submit another application all before January 1st, supplement Medicare Advantage, doesn't matter. January 1st will be your effective date of that policy. So there is flexibility. You have almost the maximum amount of time allowable in order to make these decisions. Medicare won't backdate, but they do give you a lot of leeway. So hopefully that didn't confuse the situation for you.
That's a lot of applications to resend in right there at the last minute.
It's best to have made a decision as opposed to sending things off to multiple insurance companies because you don't want to be in the position where, you end up with nothing. But that's part of what we're here to help with.
I love how Medicare just keep sending in the applications. Don't worry, we'll just take the last one that you filled out and sent in. That's fine. Like,
well, there are times when people just decide to, for example, the Aetna policies now have 1, 2, 3. I believe they have 4 different Medicare Advantage plans just offered through Aetna. So if you were already on an Aetna policy and you only look at Aetna and then you're like, well, I really like this PPO over the HMO that I'm on, you sign up for it. And then all of a sudden you see a United Healthcare commercial and you're like, I had no idea. Other options. That might be a reason. So I think they're trying to give as much deference as possible.
No, it's just really convenient that they allow you to, right up to the very deadline, you could be filling out applications. They're just going to go with the last one in hand, and there you go. And we have another texter, and texter writes, is there ever an example of when or can an Advantage plan ever drop you through the years when going in and out of different plans, especially for health reasons?
Medicare Advantage plans can never drop you for health-related issues. They can never drop you because you've switched off of their plan and now they're upset that they lost your business and they won't let you back. During open enrollment, from October 15th through December 7th, you have the opportunity to make any change to your Medicare Advantage plan that you'd like. Switch between companies, switch styles of plans, switch internally within companies. They cannot cancel your coverage. The only ways that you can have your coverage canceled are if you move out of the service area of your plan. Now, you're going to get a letter in the mail that says you've left the service area, and that's when you update your address with Social Security. You need to pick a new plan. They're going to give you time, 90 days, to make that change. But they will drop you once that time has elapsed if you haven't switched to a plan that's actually available in your new service area. They can drop you if you stop paying your Medicare Part B premium. This could happen in a couple of ways. One, if you didn't take Social Security and you were mailing in your Medicare Part B premium, if you miss, you have a 90-day grace period to correct that, but they can cancel you for that. If you have a penalty assessed against you for late enrollment, or if you have an income-related adjustment assessed against you and you don't pay that, they are able to drop you. And then finally, if you have a plan that has a premium, so some of the Medicare Advantage plans still carry a premium. Very few do at this point, but if you have one that does and you don't pay that, they can drop you. Okay. So there's only a few options. None of them are health-related.
And they all sound premium.
Essentially premium and location-driven.
If you move out of the service area just for a couple of months, you're fine, right?
Right. So that's not technically a move because if you're moving,
like you're a snowbird, you just head south.
In more than one spot. You don't update your address with Social Security if you're just down in Florida for a couple of months or something like that. This is like a full change of location. So that's something to consider if you're someone that owns homes in more than one state or in more than one county in St. Louis even. I believe that or in Missouri rather, we had a texter several weeks ago say that one of his homes, he had more options than the other, and that can be the case depending upon the county in which your home is located. So he was like, well, I'm going to keep my residence at this house. Well, that's your choice.
That's what I was thinking for the listeners that are in that situation. Either they're, transplants to, say, St. Louis County, and they're further out in the county, or they're snowbirds and they fly south for the winter. So.
Absolutely.
And our next texter writes, if we spoke to Franklin on November 15th and agreed on a plan, should we have gotten any paperwork or anything by now? Or don't we need to have to do anything?
This is a great question. So, unfortunately, I don't know. Texter, I don't know what you and Franklin agreed upon. So, my suggestion is just to double-check. Send Frank an email, Franklin, L-I-N, at jblfinancial.com. Or, if it's easier, give our office a call, 314-863-0008, and leave us a voicemail. Just says, hey, exactly what you said, name, which plan you elected with Frank, and he gets back to everyone within 24 hours of their message, during the week, so you'll probably get a call on Monday just to confirm if you needed to do anything. If you were re-upping the same plan, then you don't have anything to do. So just to make sure that everything is good for you on January 1st, just reach out to us quickly if you don't mind, and we will make sure that you're good to go for January 1st.
Okay. I think you'll have to take that one.
Okay. I've been on Mutual of Omaha supplement for 4 years, so I'm not a newbie, just a bad decision maker. That is totally fine. We completely understand these are big decisions to make. So we're happy to chat with you whenever you're available.
Absolutely. Are we ready to talk about Hal?
You know what? I think we are ready to talk about Hal.
Let's talk about Hal. And Hal has been on Medicare's Part A and B for 2 years. He doesn't take any prescriptions, so he's never had a drug plan. He's always been healthy, so he's never had to use his Medicare plan. Paul mentioned he got in.
You mean Hal?
Hal? No, it says Paul here. So, yeah, I guess Hal morphed into Paul. But so Hal mentioned he got auto enrolled into Medicare Part A and B, but he didn't know that he needed any additional coverage. That is until he had to use his plan. Hal finally had to use his plan when he fell and broke his arm.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Hal.
When the doctor's office was asking him for his insurance, Hal said he had Medicare A and B. The doctor's office asked if he had a supplemental plan or an Advantage plan, and he responded no. It was then that Hal discovered he would be responsible for the 20% out-of-pocket cost.
So, sounds like Hal wasn't watching the endless Medicare commercials that we've all been subjected to the last several months.
A very famous sports baller. I've seen him on my TV more times than I can count.
He has a lot to say. But,
he does.
So, Medicare Parts A and B make up 80% of your medical expenses. Part A generally costs people nothing because you've paid in your entire working career. Part B has a premium there is a base premium that's about it was about $147 a month. It's going to go up next year. That also has an income adjustment related to it, depending upon your income needs. Depending upon your income. So you might be paying more than the base premium. Medicare A and B does not cover prescription drugs. It also doesn't cover the last 20% that A and B doesn't cover. So if you elect just A and B, what you have is an 80-20 policy that has no maximum out of pocket. This is literally the only mistake that I believe that you can make when electing your Medicare benefits. You're leaving yourself open to unlimited expense because there is no cap. Now, you'll get the benefit of Medicare's contracted rate with everyone that you see. However, you're going to be paying throughout the entire year without any end. So how do we cap your expenses for health care in retirement when you are on Medicare? The way we do that is by either adding a supplemental policy, which we call traditional Medicare because those were originally created with Medicare, or a Medicare Advantage plan. Those were created later during the Reagan administration, so they are newer. However, over the past decade, they've become incredibly competitive with the supplemental policies. We spent a lot of time during open enrollment doing not only financial comparisons, but benefit comparisons between the supplements and the Medicare Advantage plans. What either of these options do is going to cap your expenses by covering the last 20%. With a traditional Medicare policy, the way that you're capping your expenses by agreeing to pay a premium to the insurance company, and they agree to pay that difference between what Medicare covers and what you were charged, less a deductible, or depending upon the supplement that you choose, there may be some extra be some extra expenses like co-pays for specialists and things along those lines. Medicare Advantage, the way that they cap your 20% is by asking you to cost share with the insurance company when you actually use your policy. So instead of paying the insurance company a monthly premium and receiving services at little to no cost to you out of pocket, you're going to agree to something that looks very much like your group health insurance policy through your employer or individual health insurance without the premium associated with it. So you're going to pay co-pays when you go to the doctor, co-insurance if you're admitted to the hospital, need certain procedures, things of that nature. And then that Medicare Advantage plan is going to cap your expenses using a maximum amount of pocket, which most people that have insurance through their employer or individual health insurance are already used to. You look at deductible, you look at maximum amount of pocket. The great thing about Medicare Advantage is that most of these policies do not carry deductibles any longer. A few do, so you want to make sure that you're reviewing all of the benefits before you make an election. But most plans give you first dollar coverage, which means the first expense that you have is going to be cost shared with the insurance company versus you having to pay out of pocket until you reach a specific number. They call that the deductible.
So we're trying to limit the limitless 20% that you're responsible for with either a supplement plan or coupling it with Medicare Advantage.
Exactly.
And it sounds like the supplement plan, you're paying the premium, we'll say it was a nice round number, it was $250 a month. That's $3,000 for a year. Or you could couple it with, say, a Medicare Advantage where you don't have a monthly premium, but your maximum out of pocket could be, say, $3,000 a year. So
exactly.
You can either pay it up front, really, with a supplement plan, and no, peace of mind. I don't have to worry.
No matter what.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Or I can say, you know what, I don't want to pay it up front. I'm going to go with a premium-free Medicare Advantage plan. And if I run into, in house case, a broken arm, I know that my worst case scenario, depending on the plan, depending on the policy, could be $3,000, could be $2,500, could be $3,500, or so on and so forth. But I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. I won't pay it up front. It seems like those are the two doors that you have to walk through.
Essentially, that's exactly right. And the only door you don't want to walk through is none of them.
Right, because then that 20% could be limitless, and you're on the hook for it. So
right, and just in house case, and this is probably true for this is probably true for the vast majority of people, especially turning 65, going on to Medicare. If you're generally healthy and you have been, if Hal even was seeing the primary a couple times a year, he may have been paying the 20%, but 20% of $100, even $200 is a relative $20-$40. Not a big deal. But when something happens, like a broken arm,
it becomes a very big deal.
It could become a catastrophically large deal. So take advantage of the options that have been created by the insurance companies and approved by Medicare for their use. It's some of the best coverage that you will ever have. There are limitations.
And in the case of Medicare Advantage, it seems like this is many of them, if not the majority, are premium free. So it literally doesn't cost you anything to cover the 20% that Medicare, that you're responsible for.
That's exactly right.
If it doesn't cost you anything to cover it, we should cover it.
Absolutely. And in this particular case, even if you decide that it's going to cost something, it will be far less than the liability that you could be opening yourself up to.
That's
Hal won't be howling anymore.
Just saved it all up. For how long was that in the chamber?
For about the last 6 minutes.
He had it cocked and ready. But what I can't understand is why, and I understand it's a personal choice and a lot of people like to consume their health care in certain kind of ways, but why pay it forward with the supplement plan when, I may not break my arm this year. I may not. I'm right. I may not get hit in the crosswalk by another car. I may not get cancer, God forbid. So why pay the premium when I can cover it, free? And then if something bad does happen, I know that there's a limit to what I'll be responsible for. It just seems, to me, I know texters are probably going to say I'm a shill for Medicare Advantage, but it just seems to me that would be the more efficient way of paying for your health care, because you don't know what the next year is going to hold for you, and chances are you won't break your arm, or like you.
Well, we could go through every statistic that really shows that Medicare Advantage works to your advantage.
And I haven't even gotten into any like the freebies, the giveaways, the little call them peripheral goodies that they have for you.
Here's the way that I look at it. Right now, for most people, if you are not on Medicare, you are living in the worst possible situation. You have premium to pay and you have copays to pay. Medicare says you get to make that decision on Medicare. You either pay premium or you pay copays. You don't have to do both. So although in most cases, depending upon your physicians and your prescriptions, I would lean towards Medicare Advantage for people, and we'll take a moment to kind of go through some of those numbers. There are people that would prefer the security of knowing I pay this amount every month. I don't have to worry about a variable in expenses year over year. I want to see every physician in the country, and I don't want any limitations because my retirement's going to be centered around, I don't know, medical tourism. I don't know. But there are concerns that people have with Medicare Advantage, and the great thing about Medicare Advantage is you can join a supplement, and when you're tired of paying the premium every month during an annual election period, you can switch to a Medicare Advantage plan. So you can experience both if you want. There are limitations to returning to traditional Medicare, but at least you got to try it out. If you decide, hey, this really isn't for me, you can always switch back. But I would say that what I find to be great about Medicare is that you get to tailor it either to what you need, what you can afford, or what you want. And that's very rare in the health insurance field. Either it was forced upon you as one of your benefits, you didn't get to make any choices with your employer, or you had very limited choices. If you worked for a larger employer, potentially you had a high deductible, a medium, and a low, or something along those lines. You had a HSA option or a non-HSA option. Now you have like 50 Medicare Advantage plan choices, 47 prescription drug plans, 10 different supplemental plans. You get to make that choice. And if you don't want to make it on your own and you would like someone to give you a little bit of guidance, you can always call someone like Frank, 314-863-0008, or you can send him an email, franklin@jblfinancial.com, or just go to our website, jblfinancial.com, click on the Contact Us section, say, I'd like some Medicare guidance, and we'll give you a call and set up a coaching session with Frank to discuss all of those options, because now to me, this is one of the best parts about retirement. You actually get to control the health care that or the health insurance policy that you're going to elect, which is hopefully going to either help you control how you consume your health care or make you more comfortable with the way that you're already consuming it.
And it just seems like every year these Medicare Advantage plans are getting more and more competitive with each other and what they're willing to offer. And that's great for, the end user, because, here they are, you've got 50 plans fighting over your business, and that's just great. And, one final point I would make on the supplement plan is, you join a supplement when you're 65, 66, 67, what have you. You're kind of on an escalator, because the premium you're paying when you first join is going to be going up every year. So, if you're comfortable with that and, you can withstand that, that's great, but there are other options out there for you.
Well, and just to wrap this up as a quick comparison, I haven't had a single Medicare appointment this year because Frank has taken every single one except my sweet aunt called because I helped her sign up for her Medicare plan. I think it was during one of those snow days a couple of years ago when I almost didn't make it home. She almost had to let me spend the night. But I said I'd have a chat with her since we had already set the plan up and everything. And they are snowbirds now. So they were asking, does it make sense for us to try to get back into a supplement so that way we can see physicians in Florida and also here in St. Louis? And I said, guys, Are you leaving us? Are you moving to Florida? Are you going to have physicians down there? Like, no, we're just really more concerned about emergencies and urgent care. Now, with the Medicare Advantage plans, even if you're using an HMO-style plan that have become very popular,
if you're out of the service area and it's emergency, you'll be treated. You'll be fine.
Right. You have coverage in-network if it's an emergency or an urgency, so you would pay the same price as if you were in Florida or if you were in St. Louis. But we did the math really quickly together, which was, she said, I got a quote from one of the companies for a supplemental plan. It's about $250 a month. And I said, well, we're going to have to add a prescription drug plan to that, but let's just use the $250 as our example. Well, that's $3,000 a year. The maximum out of pocket that you currently have on your plan is $2,400. And if you said, I would rather have, maybe a PPO instead of the HMO, well, those range just shy of $4,000 maximum out of pocket. So
And this may not be the worst year of your life.
Well, right. Those are the worst case scenarios versus premium is guaranteed no matter what. So then I said, sweet aunt of mine, I won't use her name, I know that you're not deathly ill or in chronic need of care. Because you don't necessarily have to be ill. You could just need care, different types of care. I know that you don't consume that much. So $3,000 a year, if the average in Missouri and Illinois is that you will hit your maximum out of pocket one time every 7 years. So 3,000 times 6 is $18,000. It's like you could save all of that, and then you hit your maximum out of pocket. That's going to cover you almost an additional 7 years of savings. You could hit your maximum out of pocket 7 times in a row and still have saved money. Now, of course, my uncle chimed in, well, we're going to spend the money, so it's not like it's going to be sitting in a bank account. But the point is, yes, you're not banking this money into a separate I didn't spend this money account. But what you are doing is you have the money to spend it on other things. Right. You have $250 a month to spend on something else.
The insurance company doesn't send the money back to you if you don't consume it.
Exactly. So hopefully we give you improved lifestyle because you get to go out and, spend that money in the years that you're not needing it. And then in the years that you do need that maximum amount of pocket protection, you have it and you know what your cap is going to be.
I think your analogy is like every year can't be the worst year, and some years, even for the most unlucky people, you're going to be lucky and you're not going to break your arm, you're not going to get hit by a car, you're not going to get cancer, so why pay for the premium up front for something that you may not use? I mean, I get the whole, it's peace of mind, and it's a powerful argument because a lot of people, they walk the floors at night, they worry about these things. I get it, but I think if these Medicare Advantage plans were open to someone like you or me, I think we would be all over them.
Yeah.
I mean, all over them. Like, sign me up yesterday.
Yes.
Well, and I think what's important also to realize is many of our clients, not all of them, certainly not all of them, but many of them are also advisory clients.
Yes, they are.
So, we're in a situation where we understand what their maximum out of pocket is. Mm-hmm. We can also talk to them about the fact that even if they reach these, and we need to send them the cash flow to deal with it for whatever expense, whether it's even stuff like dental, stuff that isn't covered by your Medicare Advantage plan, etc., or things that aren't covered, we can do that. So they don't walk. They really don't walk the floors at night. What I think the problem is for most people is that they just don't have enough information.
Sure.
Like I was saying, I was sitting at dinner with some people the other night. Of course, they know what we do, and it was like they have to ask you. Everyone wants to hear advice, and they said, "Oh, we just signed up." They didn't know that we were doing this part of it. They go, "Oh, by the way, we just signed up for a traditional Medicare plan." I'm like, "That's great. Why'd you do it?" She goes, "Oh, well, it's because we're going to be spending time in Phoenix, mm-hmm. and my Advantage plan wouldn't go with me." I'm like, "No." But
do you feel self-conscious when you have to correct someone like that?
Absolutely not.
No, it's his favorite activity.
I love
feel
that.
Self-conscious.
It's like, no, it's just like no, and then it's like,
it's just like no.
But then also, we didn't want referrals. I'm like, there aren't referrals anymore. Oh. And I said, did you look at the plan? He said, no. I said, why do you think that is? It's because the person that sold you your plan wasn't licensed to sell Medicare Advantage. See, that's the other thing. The thing is that you have to go through special licensing to be able to do both sides of the fence.
Right.
And so if you're working with someone that doesn't have a full quiver of arrows, you only get to see the ones they have. So interesting. Good conversation as usual. And, what we love about this is stuff that we do every single day. Frank is doing this for our clients. We're doing the reviews. There's still a week left. Correct?
There are 3 days. So Monday,
days?
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is the final day of open enrollment. You can still submit an application on that day, but Frank is reserving that day to make sure that every single person he's met with has been properly signed up or is staying where they belong. So if you haven't heard from Frank and you had an appointment with him, now's the time to call the office to make sure everything's in good order.
314-863-0008. Again, 314-863-0008. Or if you prefer, Go to our website, hit the Contact Us section, send us a note, we'll get it to Frank.
Yes,
or
we
send
will.
one directly to his email, Franklin, right? Like Benjamin Franklin.
Franklin at jblfinancial.com. And with that, I think we got to take our first break of the hour.
So don't touch that dial. We'll be back with more Straight Talk on Retirement after these messages.
Oh, my gosh. How long have we known each other now?
Doesn't seem like long enough.
No, but like a year, and we immediately just kind of...
Instant bond.
Yes.
Instant bond.
And it's so much fun because every Wednesday you come into the studio and we talk about, what you're really good at, picking pizza joints.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were going to say real estate, but you're right. The pizza thing is really top-notch for me.
You're pretty good at that real estate thing, too.
Yeah.
And now that I can say I've experienced it firsthand because you helped my mom and dad.
Sure did.
Buy a lake house.
Yep.
They might love you more than they love me at this point.
I don't think that's possible. No one could love me more. You know that.
Well, that's probably true. But this is what everybody else can experience, too, when they work with your team at Lauren Risley Realty. Well, we love you. We love everything that Lauren Risley Realty does, and I think you guys will, too. You can learn more. Call Lauren Risley Realty at 314-775-0684. You can also email hello@laurenrisleyrealty.com.
This is Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, that you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email, jeff@jblfinancial.com, to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
Choices for your money. It's Straight Talk and Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Woo-hoo! I love doing that. We're back with some more Straight Talk on Retirement. Hour number 2. Time is flying. And that's because we're answering your phone calls and texts at 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line. So while we were out, we did receive a text, and Aaron's giving me the privilege, I guess because I paid for a wedding last week, to read the first text. I'm planning to move all of my stock positions in my 401k into a money market fund just before the election. So we're talking about 12 months from now. I'm concerned about the future of our country with another term of Biden as president. Okay. What are you and Aaron and Robert recommending to clients like me?
Oof.
Well, I was going to say, Robert, I want you to give an intelligent comment here, but I'm going to give one. Get a grip. Okay, it's 12 months from now. And irrespective of whom is in the White House, and hopefully, in my opinion, I'm hoping that isn't the person currently occupying it, this country is going to survive. We've got the greatest economy on the planet. It's an engine. The engine will continue to move. It's moving forward now. There are going to be ups and downs, but at the end of the day, you have to stay invested if you're going to plan to pull money sometime in the future for retirement. That's just the bottom line. You have to be able to do that. What do you think, Robert?
I think you're absolutely right. In Joe's case, I just say, Joe, you could be retired longer than you were working, and the only way you're going to, you're going to outrun inflation, and have your capital last is you're going to have to stay invested. And we, look at the horrible 2022 that we had. The mood was dour as we went into 2023. Everything was horrible. Inflation, supply chain, war in Ukraine, blah 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 blah. And then before you know it, a couple months into 2023, we have an AI-fueled rally that no one saw coming, and markets recovered, and they're while they've been a little bit volatile, they've been nothing like 2022. And it's just it's very easy to get out. It's very easy to go to all cash. But then, now you're faced with the dilemma, how do you get back in? Because you're going to have to get back in.
Because the reality is it's time in the market, not timing the market.
And you never know when that catalyst is going to come along, like what Jeff was saying. I mean, you're never going to know. If we all had tomorrow's paper today, we'd all be millionaires. So the only thing we can do is stay invested and have faith and know that you're part of the greatest economic engine on the planet. That's not changing anytime soon, with or without whoever's at the top politically. Like, that changes, and it always has, always will. So, we can't plan our financial futures around, electoral events that are going to come and go, or government shutdowns, or any of the, I call it background noise, because that's really what it is. It's just background noise, and, you just got to focus on putting one foot in front of you and staying invested for the long term. And, any 20-year or 40-year period shows that you're going to come out ahead.
Watch The Rifleman.
What?
Go back to fill your head with some wholesome American hero shows. Doesn't matter. Make room for that. It's not so bad. It just isn't. Things are not so bad. And what's fun is that we really are starting to see. I mean, you may call it a circus rally, a Christmas rally.
A circus rally.
We're seeing a rally right now. We're seeing a rally, and we know that our Fed chairman came out and said we could still raise rates.
He has to say that.
But we're not doing it right now. And next week, don't know what's going to happen, but it could be rock and roll next week. When they do these things on Friday, hello. So it could be a lot of fun. So Joe, nobody knows the future, especially when it comes to elections. So don't get too crazy if you don't want to. That was a good one. Rob, do we have any other texts?
We do.
Right.
And we have a text from Sally, and she says, I am considering taking an early retirement offer at work after my 6-month severance package runs out. I will need to begin to receive income from my retirement assets. Could you and Erin describe the process for planning for cash needs for income with clients?
Well, goodness. I would say first, to have an even more extensive answer, I would listen to the first hour of our show. And that was really where we discussed what I call, Dad, you like to call it the magic formula. I think it's almost a little bit tongue-in-cheek because there's really nothing magic about it, which is, Sally, right?
Yes.
Sally. Take your net income monthly, so both paychecks, if you're paid weekly, whatever the case may be, multiply that by, take your net pay, multiply that by 15 to 20%, depending upon your tax bracket. So we get what we would need in gross pay, gross income in retirement. Subtract out your Social Security benefit. It doesn't sound like you have a pension option available to you. Gross income need minus monthly income, fixed income, which would be Social Security, gives you the deficit that you have. Multiply that by 12. That's your annual deficit. Divide that by 4%, and that's the amount that you will need on a monthly basis. That's the amount of capital you will need to sustain that deficit over a long period of time. Now, if you're having trouble determining what you're spending every month, that's why I like to use just what's your paycheck. Don't worry about if you're saving anything extra. If you're building up savings and then spending it, you were spending it anyway, so don't worry about that. That's the quickest way to it. If you want to be as absolutely specific as possible, then what I would say is add up 2 different months from 2 different parts of the year that most likely are at like a Christmas time or a time that you were paying a large bill. Compare those 2 numbers to give you an idea of what you're spending every month. Or take your net paycheck, and if you are putting some into savings but not spending it throughout the year, subtract that out, then do the exact same math again. And that's really part of what our initial coaching session really focuses on, which is the science or the math behind retirement. How much are you spending? Let's really drill down to determine that. Do you have any extra expenses that are coming up, any long-term plans that we need to plan capital for above and beyond? Then how do we build a portfolio that's going to deliver the income that you need when you need it? And that usually comes in our second coaching session.
You know, it's fun. And we do it right in front of you on our whiteboard. And what's so cool is, Sally, you will have clarity.
Mm-hmm.
You'll go, this makes sense to me. I can follow this. We don't have to take the information, throw it into some computer program, get you 45-page books, whatever, charts, etc., to get to the same number. That's what it is. It's the algebra problem. Now, I would say the second part I think you're asking about is how do we deal with cash? Well, what we also will do is if you've identified, like one of our previous Rockstar discussions was, that you had certain capital needs that you needed money for capital for, whether it was remodeling, education, whatever it would be on your list. We're going to set that money aside in cash if it's going to be within a 6 to 12-month period, because we want to make sure that that isn't subject to market risk. Got to be there, needs to be there. We'll set it aside for you so that when you either call us or call Missy, our assistant,
client service manager.
Exactly, and go send the dough. It's cool. We'll be happy and able to do that. We don't have to think about selling things. This is a bad day, etc. Otherwise, for most of it, what we're doing is just something a little. We basically we got a process of how we generate money for income. So it's good. Good question.
Great question. You know what? I think let's take our second break of the hour, and when we get back, we've got 2 or 3 text questions to get to. So make that more than 2 or 3 and send us a text while we're on break. 84126 from the text line.
We'll be right back.
I'm Farmer Dave, and here's my good friend and owner of MasterCars Inc., Alex Rosenberger, with today's hot MasterCars Inc. deals.
Thanks, Farmer Dave. As usual, we have plenty of Corvettes and muscle cars in stock, but we're also stocked with luxury SUVs, pickups, Jeep Wranglers, and the like, and that'll help make winter a little bit more fun. We've also got plenty of pre-owned Harleys in stock. Now is the right time to buy a motorcycle. The discounts are deep and no payments until spring of 2024. We have a finance solution for just about every credit type on motorcycles and cars. We need trade-ins too. In fact, if you have a very clean, unique, low-mile car or motorcycle you'd like to sell, call or email us. We'll buy it. We'll even buy entire collections.
So rev that motor and point your car in the direction of MasterCars Inc. and buy or sell today. 4100 Namioki Road in Granite City, or visit MasterCarsInc.com to get more details. That's MasterCarsInc.com.
This is Erin Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email at aaron@jblfinancial.com to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
Now, back to Straight Talk on Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
I love that song.
We know.
I do. I just love the song. To me, it's just, it's just uplifting.
Getting stronger every day.
Exactly. I mean, and I really look at this when we visit with folks. We've created their game plan for them. Mm-hmm. And what happens is they're coming back to visit, and they're just happy. Things are happening.
Getting stronger every retirement day.
Exactly. And things are happening. Good things are happening for them, and they're making these plans. And, hey, we can do this, and we just love it. And they bring me Oreos, and it's cool.
Well, you know what's funny? So we've had a long-time client that's been retired for a year or two now, and I just had the opportunity to meet with his sister yesterday, and they were working in a family business together, and they both agreed to retire essentially at the same time. And so I was asking, how are you enjoying retirement? And she said, I hate it.
Why did you hate it?
Well, I'll get to that, but then she said, you know what makes me even more mad? And I was like, what? Like, my brother loves it. He has planned for it for decades since he first started. Since he got out of college, he'd been planning to retire. He's had goals. Inappropriate. This is quality family time here. Shouldn't be taking phone calls. Anyway, he planned it for years, and he hit a few road bumps, but he got there when he wanted to get there because he was determined. And, I just really love to work, and I miss the people. And I miss my clients. They knew me. it was a family business, not only.
So go back to work.
They sold it.
Oh.
So I said, now that you're making my job really hard, because this isn't just about investments. This isn't just about cash flow. This is about how do we help you get to a happy place in your how do we help you enjoy retirement as much as your darn brother?
I've always said the 16-hour life, which is what you're living when you're retired. You got 8 hours of sleep, you got 16 hours. You have to, that is I mean, you think about having 16 hours every day that you have to. I mean, like I said, we're working, so you got to get up, got to go to work. You know, the hour before work and the hour after work, you're kind of still at work because you're still in that mode. So, you know, now you're into like 6 hours a day that you have to contend with. And, you know, when you expand that out to 16 forever, if you don't have a plan, if you don't have a stratagem, it could be a little like, you know, finding your footing can be a real thing. I could definitely see how that's a thing for a lot of people. It certainly would be for me. Because I don't know what I would do.
And that's part of the conversations that we have with prospective clients or even current clients that are planning to retire and haven't done so yet. Most people do not pull the trigger until something is more compelling than their paycheck. Once you get to that within 5-year mark of retirement, and if you've come to see us or you're working with someone else, you all have planned out the cash flow side of things. You know what goal that you have there, if you've hit it or not. Most people that we see are already ready to retire. There are some that we're helping with paying down debts, consolidating debt in order to make their cash flow more valuable, so getting rid of some of this excess debt before they retire. But I would say a very large number of people are already financially ready to retire. It's emotionally being ready to retire. Something has to be more interesting to you, more compelling to you than your paycheck in order for you to give that up.
What's come through to become crystal clear to me sitting in with these meetings with you is even if they don't have a plan, it's like, I don't want to do X every day anymore. Like, I've had my fill of X, and I don't know what Y is, I don't know what Z is, but I'm not doing X anymore. Like, they're not getting another day out of me doing that. So I can certainly understand. Like, I don't know how it's all going to fit. I don't know how it's all going to work, but I know that they're not getting another day of my time. And that's always great to hear because, you know, it's you know, we all grow up and you could take this job and shove it, and now they're really going to take this job and shove it.
It's the greatest time ever, honestly.
Right.
But also we have a lot of people that are just happy to retire. They didn't dislike their jobs, things like that.
Just the smiles on their face when they know that it's like, I don't, like, literally, when it gets to the point where I don't want to do this anymore, I literally don't have to do this. It's like a big burden off their shoulders.
You're in the driver's seat.
And let's get to our texters. Our next texter writes, I am turning 65 next week, and I was told that since I am still working and have insurance through my employer that I don't have to sign up for Medicare yet. Is that true, or am I going to be penalized when I do sign up for Medicare in the future?
Great news is if you are working for an employer that has more than 20 employees, that you do not have to sign up for Medicare. You will not be penalized. In fact, I would recommend that you don't sign up for Medicare if, again, you're working for an employer that has more than 20 employees. The reason for that is due to federal law, your insurance that you currently have through work will remain primary. Medicare will become secondary if you sign up for it. Now, most people would say, well, what's the harm in that? Well, there's really not a harm except for secondary coverage in this case does not work the same way that a lot of people remember it 20 years ago, where you could be on your coverage and you could also be on your spouse's coverage, be double covered, and then you hardly paid anything when you went to the doctor because both coverages were helping cover those expenses. If Medicare is secondary for you, they are only going to be willing to pay 80% of the actuarial value of the claim. Most people have group health insurance through their employer, like our texter, that covers at least 80% of your medical expenses. Once the plan has paid that is primary, if it gets passed to Medicare and they've already paid the 80% Medicare is willing to pay, Medicare isn't going to pay anything. They're not going to come in and cover the last 20% for you. So in most cases, you will be paying for coverage that you aren't able to access. Wait until you retire. You'll have what's called a special election into Medicare because you will be losing your group health insurance policy. You'll fill out a form that's called your Medicare Part B application. Then you'll fill out another form that says your request for employment information. You're going to fill it out that says the day you turned 65 until the day you retired is when you were on the plan. Someone from your employer, either the HR department, is going to sign off on that and say, yes, they were on this plan for that length of time. Medicare is going to recognize that, waive any penalties that would have been assessed against you, and allow you to enroll in a Medicare plan, Supplement or Medicare Advantage, just as if it was when you were turning 65.
Okie doke. And our next texter writes, how difficult would it be for someone to manage their own portfolio if their income isn't necessarily tied to their IRA? their pension, the Social Security, some CDs, and savings make up their income, using their IRA as a buffer.
I would just say, why do you want to? Like, you didn't spend your working career managing your assets, most likely. You had them in a retirement account, your 401k at work, whatever the case may be. Most people have a set-it-and-forget-it mentality. They're just stuffing money away. Why would you want to spend your retirement where you're going to be out enjoying yourself, staring at your portfolio, managing your assets? That's what I would say.
I would also, I would only add to that, we're in this do-it-yourselfer society. But at the end of the day, if this is something you enjoy doing, or you feel like you're going to enjoy doing it, then truthfully, you should do it. Okay? Mm-hmm. At the same time, when you get tired of it, or maybe you're not comfortable with the emotional ups and downs of looking at this as often
and
as you're
having
going
to make those decisions in those emotional
and that's
states.
That's why you want to have an advisor. So again, as I love to tell folks that ask questions like this, we never take toys away from boys.
Right.
It's just not something we do. But if you want to delegate that responsibility, people like us, as well as other folks, are happy to take up that mantle for you. But good question.
Okay, and our next texter writes, I get about a $3,000 plus property tax bill at the end of December every year now that my house is paid off. Is there anything I can do to reduce this, or any programs I can use to my advantage, or suggestions? Thank you. I don't know of any offhand. I know there were some programs back east in New York that if you didn't have children in school, you get a reduction on some of your property taxes.
I know that Missouri passed, there's going to be a freeze for individuals, I believe, over the age of 65 on your property taxes, if you own the home, obviously. So I would definitely look into that. That was, I believe, done at the same time that they alleviated Social Security tax at the state level in Missouri. So I would first take a look at that, because hopefully you'll be able to get a freeze there. But unfortunately with property taxes, well, if you moved out, rented, and then rented your place out, you could charge people that property tax.
I think
incorporate that into the rent.
The answer was,
unfortunately.
Right.
And our next commenter writes, I think the hardest part of retiring is realizing that you are old and things start hurting more. Your health can change in the blink of an eye. I never thought I would be on so many medications. I just went on my first one not too long ago, so
it was traumatic.
I feel your pain. Like I'm one of those guys now. Well, where's my meds? Did I take my pill?
Every day, guys.
And so I see where you are, sir, and yeah, it's. No one told me when I was in my 20s this is how it's going to be.
Well, I think the problem is that you now have time to pay attention to it. Whereas before, you're in this ritual of getting up, going to work, doing your thing, etc. Now you have time to concentrate maybe a little more on your aches and pains. And so I would say that's true, but you also have more time to concentrate on the fun stuff. Exactly, which really is... which is really the fun part of retirement. I mean,
oh my gosh, we get to hear some of the coolest things.
Well, I always like to think of it in this way, and I'm not retired, of course, but I get this from clients, which is, I had somebody that came in and saw us the other day, and it was around 11 o'clock. And I said, "What are you guys doing?" And they said, "Well, I said, "Where are you going to lunch afterwards?" And they said, "Well, we're going to go to Joe's," and it's Tuesday. We always go to Joe's on Tuesday now. I'm like, why? Well, because hamburgers are like $5 off. Then more than they
$5 off.
Well, they're.
What were they costing?
It's sort of like a Taco Tuesday.
Sure.
We never went to Joe's on Tuesdays before because we didn't have the time, and we really didn't understand that they had.
Also,
this
you don't
deal
think
going
about
on.
it on Tuesdays because you're too busy going to work.
Well, right, you've got these blinders on, and what happens is the world's passing you by. Now that you can slow it down, be like an NFL quarterback. You can see the road. You can see the field better. The play slows down. You can make the plays, all that kind of stuff. So have some fun.
Can you?
Can you really?
Yes, you can. And I think we're getting to our last minute.
We are getting to the very end of our show for today. Thank you all for tuning in for your text questions. If you have more questions, or if you'd like to chat with us in person, over the phone, or by Zoom because you're ready to retire, something's more compelling to you than your paycheck, give us a call, 863-0008. Send us an email, Aaron at jblfinancial.com, Robert at jblfinancial.com, or Jeff at jblfinancial.com. We will see everyone next week.
The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial advisor or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and JBL Financial Services, Inc. are separate entities from LPL Financial.